All right, so, um, no, I'm not here to talk about whatever, latest big name movie that came out. Why would I be? When am I ever here talking about that? No, no, I still not have watched Sinners yet. Stop asking. Okay? No, I have not watched Thunderbolts. Okay? I'm here talking about a movie that came out in January. It came out in January. Also, after 8 years, I finally saw Meshuggah again. That was amazing. And I finally have a Meshuggah shirt. My god, after being a fan for like 800 years, finally got a shirt. The tour shirt. Anyway, I'll stop. Um, so, yeah, so this is about the movie Presents. It took me a moment. Like, presents? Like when you get, on Christmas, I was at Thanksgiving. Oh my god. Okay, so I am very tired. Yeah. Um, Freelance life. You don't want a 9 to 5, so you work 24/7. This is a person right here. Anyway, so, presence. Like, you feel the presence of something. So, this movie has Lucy Liu, some big boy white guy, and they're Asian kids, as this movie shows you. So, oh, Julia Fox is in the movie. She plays the realtor, and then I found out that I'm older than Julia Fox, and I think I realized I'm at the age now where I am gonna be older than a lot of people who are famous. Oh, there goes, like, hello. Shh, Discord. Um, I realize I'm gonna be at the age. I'm at the age where I realize a lot of famous people now. I am older than, but I thought me and her were at least around the same age. I don't know. I also like still get carded for everything. So, Anywho, so the movie Presents. I'll go into spoilers in a bit, but I mean, if anyone, I don't know if a lot of people watched this movie. But yeah, so I'll go into spoilers a little later. I really enjoyed this movie. It's, a slightly different take on the whole, like, haunted house, spirit ghosts, poltergeist kind of genre in the horror realm. Um, like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's very different. So it's about a family, they move into a new home. It's a very nice house, very big. The movie, like, it shows, like, kind of takes you a tour around the house. I love that at no point we go into the basement. I love that because they didn't need to add like spooky basement or creepy attic to be like, ooh, that kind of stuff. So we take a quick tour of the house. I was like, ooh, I love that. I was like, that house has to be at least like a mill, like looking at it, like the amount of bedrooms and all that stuff. Spoiler, I looked it up on Zillow. It is. It is about that much. Ooh, bitch. I mean, yeah. It's the thing where it's like, I would not have, I wouldn't move out. I would just be like, I'll just deal with this. I'll just deal with this. Things are rattling, that's fine. Just, shit, things are rattling, it's fine. I'll just do like museum wax and keep things, falling down. Or like talk to the presence and be like, hey yo, could you not? Here's a dry erase board. Tell me how you feel. What are our boundaries for one another? And let's kind of figure out, so you don't knock my shit over and I don't piss you off. All right? Let's anyway. So it's about that. It's about, a family moves in and then like spooky stuff starts happening. And, as of course the movie progresses, you learn a little bit more. I like that when they have expositions on it, it's not like the shit that always happens where it seems so like, I, your father, am talking to you about your latest, your current grieving of your dead friend. Remember your friend who is dead, who is your friend. Like that kind of dialogue shit that happens a lot in like, in general in a lot of movies, and then especially in like horror, thriller, psychological things, like about grief and whatever not. Like, it's just like dialogue. This is thing. A B plus B equals C sentence exposition, like that shit drives me up a wall. Like they give you little bits and pieces, they do it well. And before I go into spoilers, like I said, I kind of semi predicted the ending, but again, I've said this in the past. Just because I could predict the ending doesn't mean that like it's like fuck spoiled. Because sometimes again, there's I was able to predict the ending, and it's like oh shit, they actually did do that. Okay. Then it's like, okay, I kind of got the ending. Oh, sure, okay, they did that. And then there's the, of course they were gonna do, there's that type of where you predict the ending and you're like, of course that's how it ends. This was more of the like, kind of predict. So it was kind of like, okay, all right. I mean, I was about right. Anyway, so I'll go into spoilers. 1, 2, 3, spoilers. So, like I said, Lucy Liu and husband, their kids are high school age. I'm guessing, let's just say they're about a year or two apart from one another. The son is very like the shit. He's like #1 track star. He's like the best at all that shit. Um, and then like there's this like weird like mother son relationship, like the freaking boy mom thing that I just don't understand. It's so like there's like a very thin line between how some like boy moms treat their sons, and then it's pretty much incestual. Like just like I've just seen it, and it's not even just like how the movie wrote. Like just in real life, you just like see how people like anyway. So they have that, which is like wow, that's very true to things I've seen in real life. Anyway, so like anytime the son says anything, and she's just like so like she cares so much about what her son does, and she kind of like doesn't give a fuck about her daughter. Like she's so like, here you go, whatever. And it's like, ew, bitch. Like, goddamn, tell me who's your favorite. Jesus fucking Christ, what are you, my dad? And then like the dad seems to kind of like trying to play like like Switzerland, like oh no, I love both my kids equally. It's that hey, but then as the movie progresses, he's just kind of like all right, I got my daughters back, and my son's a little shit kind of stuff. Um, so like I said, the realtor is Julia Fox, which it took me a second. I was like, why does this woman look familiar? I look on IMDb and I'm like, oh, Anyway, so they get this house. Like I said, I would move in that house in a heartbeat. Oh my god, lots of rooms. It's nice. They're like it's kind of old, kind of looking. I'm like, give me that. I don't know if I would have painted any of the walls. I know like what they painted was like fine. It was just like it's like this. It's like a muted blue gray. Like how do you get more muted than blue and gray? Anyway, so um anyway, so whatchamacallit, so like you learn real quick when you watch the movie that the camera, us the audience, we are the presence, we are the ghost, because it's very handheld, it's very like shot like they go through like the freaking hallways and the stairs, just kind of like they're winding through, kind of like again in like back in the 80s when they did like you know like horror movies and stuff, even part of the 70s where they're like it's the ghost and it's like woo, and it's always like a guy screaming at the camera like trying to go up a flight of stairs while the camera's like in his face. Oh my god, like what is this thing? I don't know, camera. So I really like that, but again, like it's great because then like the camera gets like really up in someone's face sometimes. It's just like sometimes it's like they'll just be standing there and then like the camera, oh god, I can't zoom, and then the camera will just be like, we'll just do that, we'll just blur me out and just be like this close to someone's face and just be like hey, and then they'll be in the middle of talking like hey, whatever, and then it'll just be, and then it's like no one notices because it's supposed to be the camera, you don't look at the camera, and then also it's the ghost, you're not supposed to see it, so then they're just kind of like whatever, and then you kind of look past it, and then the camera just like freaking oh god, go the wrong way. Yeah, anyway, well, focus, no, not on my hand, focus on, no, 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 I had it right, I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have fussed with it. Anyway, so whatchamacallit, yeah, so like the camera will just get like real close to someone's face, like it's standing there, and then it'll just kind of like walk away, or it'll follow someone through a room, or it'll just like linger inside the closet in the daughter's room, and yada hoo ha. It's kind of crazy. And like, not to sound like something I would probably be telling my therapist kind of thing, but like, in a way, like the camera, and then how it just kind of was like lingering, especially like in the living room scenes, it just kind of reminded me of my childhood. It's like, wow, okay, I didn't realize how fucked up Spaz was. I mean, just look at my art. um because it was just like, it would just be there and like linger, and then just kind of like, be around people, not be acknowledged, and then just kind of like disappear. I mean, a lot of it, like I said, like, hello therapist, a lot of my childhood was like that. Like, I would just like show up in a room and adults would be talking, and I'm just kind of there, and then I like go up to them, and I'm just kind of like looking at them while they're talking, and I'm like, all right, and then I just kind of like like just kind of leave the room and get a snack, or I'd like, this was me. The spoiler, I was dead all along. This whole time, this YouTube channel has been run by a ghost. Anyway, so yeah, so that, like I said, the camera work was kind of like really interesting, because again, it was just like boo 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 boo. Also, there were times where like the camera like would go up and down stairs real fast. So, big ups to like the camera guy, director of photography, whomever is holding that camera. Someone I follow on Letterboxd says, who's faster, the camera person in this movie, or the people who operate, or the camera person for Maury. You are not the father. Ah! And just run after. Or the freaking, or the camera guy in the show Cops. The cops aren't even like, close to the bad guy, and the camera guy's like going over the fence. So yeah, it made me think of that. Like, oh my god. So anyway, the plot. So we find out the daughter, has recently has like a friend who passed away, and no one knows what happened. There's the friend named Nadia, and then also a random girl who also within the community, as they keep saying, recently has passed. So this is a new home, kind of like starting a new life kind of thing. But it's also funny because it's like, not funny, but it's like you don't know, because he keeps saying community, so it's like, did they just move to like the next town over? Like, how far did they move? They don't really tell you, but they just moved, right? So, I guess a fresh start to like, I guess, help with like the daughter grieving and all that stuff, which also is like, they're not being really kind to her with her grieving. Again, they don't say how long ago the friend was like murdered kind of thing, like, not murdered, but it's suspected that probably it had happened because two people had passed away, all that stuff. um because it's like, again, the son's being a little shit. Again, granted, they are both teenagers, so you kind of are a little bit of a shit to your siblings. And also the mom being so like, obviously, playing favorites isn't helping, and then the dad being like far too neutral, again, isn't helping the daughter. So yeah, like, the daughter feels the presence in her room a lot, which prior to that, when the people who are like, painting the house or whatever, once they bought it, the one guy was like, oh, I'm painting the house. And then another dude who was like, another painter guy was like, oh, I won't go in that room. Funny enough, ends up being the daughter's room, because there's a large present. You're like, I don't know what it is, something wrong, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, yeah, so the entire time, like, anytime the daughter does something and the presence wants the daughter to know it's there, it's like, kind of like gathered all her books and like put it on her desk, because it was all like, on her bed and all that stuff. She also has her own bathroom, which, wow, big win, you know. And so then, whatchamacallit, so, she's already feeling it. They're thinking she's freaking out. It's a grieving thing. There's, like, this weird subplot about the wife committing, like, some type of white-collar crime. I couldn't tell what she was deleting on her laptop, because she's like, oh, I got a virus, and I'm just deleting, oh, God, I'm just probably just gonna wipe the computer and start fresh or something. And it's like, okay, bitch. It looks like emails or something, but she's doing crimes, because, she's a woman, she's allowed to. Uh, and the husband, like, he's like calling up a friend. He's like, "Hey, yo, so, if I divorce her, would I be like, would I be involved in the crime? I know I'm married to her. I didn't do the crime, but I am married to. All right, all right, we'll talk later. Yeah. Um. So there's like that, and then so the son, like I said, super cool guy, the best kid, but track star, da da da. He brings over a friend who, is like, for me, it was like red flag because it was a someone else on Letterboxd did the same thing. They were like, it was like, the red flags in the movies, boy moms and blonde men. And I thought the same thing before I even read Letterboxd. I thought the same thing. The boy mom thing was like, and then the friend being like a blonde dude, I was like, nope. No. Anyway, so of course, immediately, he's gonna like find the sister attractive and all that stuff. And then, of course, like, she's grieving and she's young and a teenager and she's vulnerable. So, of course, he's gonna be like, hey, girl, hey. And she's gonna be like, ooh, all that stuff. So, of course, like, she's vulnerable. So they are making out. And then, like, skip to the future. They're, like, they're fucking and all that stuff. And the dude tries to, like, drug her a few times. One time successfully, you know. And one time, like, the first time he tried to drug her, the presence, like, freaking, I'm just saying the ghost, because I realize when I say the presence, it just sounds like I'm saying the present, like, the gift. So, anyway, the ghost then, like, fucking shakes up the side table, and her drink falls out and all that stuff, you know. So then, once like oh yeah, the freaking ghost like tears up the brother's room, like, like knocks out all his fucking trophies, breaks his mirrors. Like, the family sees it, they're like, oh shit, okay, the daughter isn't crazy, there's a thing. So they call the realtor. They're like, is there a poltergeist, did someone die here? And then the realtor's like, hey, legally I'm supposed to tell you if someone died. No one's died, but my sister-in-law, who's got the shining, will come, So sister-in-law comes, and I love, because again, with the camera work, the ghost is right there, like, at the doorway, and she walks up, looks right at the camera, and she goes, like that, and it's like, okay, I love that shit. Because then at one point, like, when she's doing her whole, like, shining stuff, right, when she's feeling the feels, everyone's looking at the camera, which is crazy, because usually, you're not supposed to acknowledge the camera, but everyone's looking at it like the ghost, but they don't know it's a ghost, but she is looking in that direction, so everyone's looking. Like, everyone's like, why y'all looking at me? I'm just watching this fucking movie. And so they're all looking, which, again, is very interesting. And so then, like, the shining woman, her husband asked for a bit of money, and the husband's like, all right. And then, of course, Lucy Liu's like, you gave her money? What the fuck? Da-da-da. Okay, she's never allowed to step foot in this house. This was bullshit. Oh, my God, my baby boy. And it's like, ma'am, please. Like, good on Lucy Liu for playing, like, I mean, Lucy Liu's always great at playing a bitch. But Jesus Christ, it's like, oh God, now that she's like she plays a mom, it's like, oh, Whereas before she was like the young, cunty bitch. Now she's like a mom bitch. It's like, oh Jesus, like she's a Karen now. Ooh, bitch, no. So yeah, so at one point the woman with the shining comes back and tells the husband, she goes, I had a dream. She was like, this ghost isn't, like, pretty much saying, like, this ghost isn't from now. It's something, it's a warning about something in the future, but all I can see is about something about a window that does not open, or like a window that should not be open, like something like a window that cannot be open, a window. And it's like, okay, I mean, she's got good enough premonition. So immediately I thought, okay, if this is not a ghost of a past, it's a ghost of a future. Immediately I thought, it's Chloe, the daughter. I forgot that, didn't say her name the whole time. I thought, it's the daughter, she's dead, and she's watching herself, and she's trying to warn the family. That's what I thought. And so whatever the window is, who fucking knows, Again, as the movie progresses, at some points you see the ghost, like, is trying to, like, do its powers, and, like, it's not working. And then, at one point, the parents go on like a trip, so then it's just the kids, right? So of course, blonde boy comes in, and he drugs the brother. The brother is like, he's asleep, and then blonde boy goes upstairs and like hands a drink to the sister. She drinks it. Now, like I said, this was his successful thing of drugging her. She gets drugged. She falls asleep, like she passes out. Excuse me. And then I thought he was gonna, her, because how he just started pulling out her legs, and I was like, oh god. But instead, he lays on top of her, pulls out like this like tube, like a boba straw, and he's like, look at this saran wrap, look how thin it is, and just puts it on top of her face, and then you already know, oh, he's probably the guy who killed the friend and then the other unsuspecting girl in the community thing, and now he's gonna kill her. Why? I don't know, because he's a crazy guy. I don't want to say white boy, because actually I looked up the actor, and he's like, was it like Polish, Japanese? He's like all types of like mix. It's like, god damn, dude. But the blonde hair, that's what makes him evil. But yeah, so he freaking is just like, oh, again, also teenage boys are crazy because they say crazy shit, which is why I have to age restrict my Instagram, because some of the DMs I used to get, it's like, oh, I'm like, what is this? Look on profile, 16, oh god, I am like closer to 40 than I am 30. Disgusting. So the guy, the blonde, is about to kill the girl. He literally is just like putting the plastic on her and then removing it so she can breathe, and just like, oh my god, just saying the most creepiest things because, like you do. Then mind you, the whole time the ghost is watching it like, fuck, what do I do? What do I do? And then the ghost runs down the stairs and like shakes the fucking living room. Lights are flickering, all that stuff, and the brother like wakes up. He's like, what? He's like, oh, Chloe. He runs upstairs, the ghost is following with, and then he just like tackles the blonde boy. They both go through the window, falls out, bam, right on the freaking driveway, both dead, And then it's just like, it's crazy because exactly, if you remember from the beginning of the movie, Chloe goes to that window and like looks at, same like the freaking, the ghost looks out that window, and then when they visit the house to look at it, Chloe looks out of that window. You know what I mean? Like, it's been hinted, it's not Captain Obvious. But then the moment they went out that window, I was just like, oh, I remember now. So yeah. So of course, the blonde dies, the brother dies, sadly enough. The family, like, moves out of the house. I understand, but I'm just like, in this housing market, ooh, like I said, I looked up the house. It's over $1 million. I also when I looked up that house, I realized I've driven by that house several times. I was like, oh, because I was like, oh, that's near where I've been by. And then I like look at the road, I would look at the street, I look at the Google Maps, I went, no, I've literally driven past that house several times. I was like, oh, that makes it even crazier, because I'm like, that's right there. It's right there. It's right there. I'm doxing myself. I'm saying it like it's next door. It's not. It's pretty far away. But I'm like, I was like, holy shit, it's right there. So they leave. They leave. Of course, Lucy Liu just has like that one last like kind of like, like every like end of a Disney thing or whatever, where they're like, graduate high school, we gotta look one more time at the room kind of thing. But the ghost kind of like, pulls its feelers out, and it's like pulls her to the really old mirror that was in the living room, and then she looks in a mirror, and then we finally get to see the reflection of the ghost. And the whole time the ghost is not Chloe, the brother, which I had a feeling pretty much right when all that happened. I was like, oh, it's not Chloe, because I thought it was like her dead ghost trying to warn herself kind of thing. But no, turns out it's the brother. And she sees it. She's like, ah, it's my baby. Like falling down, all that shit. And the family holds on to her. She's like, ah, it's my baby. All that stuff. And, she, get that Oscar. And then you, the audience, the ghost, whatever, finally comes out of the freaking house, and then you leave the house, you see the front of the house, and then you're ascended up into the sky. That's when, like I said, I saw the front of the house and I was like, that house looks familiar, you know? And I was like, that house looks familiar. And that's why I looked up the house, and that's when I figured out I've driven past that house. That's crazy. Also, God, it's a really nice house. It's like over a mill. Goddamn, you know. But anyway, um, but yeah, I like I said, I really like this movie because of the the movie kind of like in a sense there are times you kind of forget it's psychological horror kind of thing because you're just kind of like watching a family dynamic kind of thing happening. Um, but then like then you remember when like the camera angles start doing crazy shit and or like the thing. But anyway, oh, camera's dying. All right.